Settings.
We are back for another episode of 0 to 100,000 in real estate real fast with two incredible people that have been business coaches and mentors to me as I've built my business over the last year. I am super excited to introduce Jen and Jason Catalanotto to the show. What's going on, you guys?
What's up, James? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Good. Thanks for having us on. We're super excited, man. Love the content you're putting out.
I can't so Jen has a really interesting story about how she launched, and I'm really curious about like how the last couple of years has shifted what she would do. But I remember your acceleration was like insane when I heard your story about coming into real estate.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind for sure. I will say I was super blessed. I think there were a lot of factors that played into my success, from having an incredible mentor and who became a business partner, just market conditions. I had a lot of things going for me, so I don't want it to sound like it was just super easy. But, I guess the biggest thing is we've always owned businesses, right? And so when I decided to get my real estate license, we had just moved to Florida. I knew nobody. I had no sphere. And I really kind of just jumped in. I don't know, first of all, I didn't really even think about brokerages. I didn't even think anything about that. So I went to a little independent brokerage that was right at the end of my street. They were amazing. And I went there because, again, fees were low. I knew an agent there. And then I was like, okay, well, I've owned businesses before. Like, I don't care about the support there. I'm just going to jump in. And just kind of thought about opening a business. So how I would open a business, if I was opening a pizza shop or a bakery or whatever, I had to just start advertising. So I gave myself a budget and said, I'm giving myself this much time to get this up and growing. And fortunately, it really just took off, but it was different then as far as like with buying leads and things like that. So
I want to argue that though. The core principles are the same, because a lot of that is follow-up.
The expense though.
Well, the expenses change, but I think you were so successful with it because you followed up like a machine on those leads. So,
but yeah, so I did my first year, but I did have a mentor too. So again, I was at a brokerage that had no support at all, but I went there because I knew of our real estate agent who was hugely successful. And so I quickly realized that I needed help. And so I went to her. She claims that I did not give her a choice in the matter, that she was going to be my partner. I think I asked her, but she says I didn't, that I told her she had to be my partner. But she's a great friend. So having her support was huge. So I think, I guess to my point right there is just find a mentor. That helped me a lot. Somebody who's done it and who can help you.
So before we really dive in, because I'm sure that question's probably molded a little bit over the last couple of years. Like, let's just learn more about you. Like, for everybody that's turning on and watching, who are Jen and Jason?
Well, Jason's going to tell you he's Mr. Wonderful. He's going to tell you a lot. No, I would say, we both are serial entrepreneurs. Yeah. We started businesses really young and have always had a huge passion for
Never liked to work for anyone else. I really, ever since I was a kid, when somebody told me, if they told me something to do, I'd get pissed off, right? Like,
he would do the opposite.
If you ask me to do something, that's different. If you tell me to do something, I don't want to talk to you, right? Or I'll do the opposite. So I think that kind of pushed the entrepreneurial thing for us both, because we have control over our destiny, right? And I love accountability. So the great thing with that is if you're successful, it's your fault. If you fail, it's your fault. You just got to own it all the time. And luckily, most of our endeavors have been successful, right? You're not going to win all of them, but you got to win more than you lose in all business aspects.
And I think what was intriguing to me with the real estate thing was the freedom that you could have. Like, we've owned lots of businesses where you are married to being there, and you're in the same building every single day. It's very hard to leave. So when we started thinking about real estate, I'm like, this is so great. You still have to work, right? Everybody thinks the freedom and that you have all this freedom, but we're working right now over in the mountains. Like, you have to work, but I'm not tied down to being in the office, having this huge overhead with inventory. Because we used to have a car dealership. I mean, that's some serious inventory and stress, you know, when you're carrying that kind of expense every single month.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing with real estate is you can sell everybody else's inventory.
Right.
You know, coming from the car dealership side, you could only sell what you bought and had for sale, right? The beautiful thing with real estate is it's all for sale and you don't even have to own any of it and you can still sell it.
Right. The opportunity is just huge in real estate.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And so, yeah, like let's jump right in there. So like, let's just, you know, you guys have to start over tomorrow. You're starting from the scratch. And what would you do to get from 0 to 100,000 as fast as possible? And you guys can answer it together, separately, whichever way you guys want to go about it.
I think it'd be two different ways.
Yeah.
I would say I would still probably approach it the same way that I did. I think that I just would have taken, I think, education a little bit more serious, like having the right support, because I did it with no systems, no process. And I was extremely overwhelmed and almost burned myself out. And one year, I mean, there were nights I was crying myself to sleep because I didn't have a CRM. Nobody taught me anything like that. I think I sold 66 homes my first year in real estate. But I did it with nothing, like, except for, it was amazing that I didn't have something fall through the cracks because I was just all over. So I think if I could do it differently, I would have structured it a little bit better from the beginning. But also, I don't want people to get so hung up on that. I feel like a lot of new agents get so hung up on the process before that they don't jump in right onto the phones. I will say, I didn't start off with buying leads immediately. I got my first listing my first week in real estate, and it was a for sale by owner. So it wasn't like it was a Zillow lead or whatever. And I didn't have a sphere. I knew I had to get business. So I just started, I didn't even have their phone numbers. I was emailing people because I found an email list. Yeah.
For me, I'd probably just approach it a little bit different at this point. One, I think the structure was huge, right? We're really good at running and gunning and then trying to go back and clean up a little bit of the mess when it comes to paperwork and in processes. Throughout the years, we've learned, hey, let's slow it down at the beginning, get it right coming out of the gate, and then everything going forward is that much easier, right? So I would have that structure in place from the get-go. I do believe in leads, right? Like, leads worked for us. I would still go down that route. I would still do it. Leads work and leads convert if you call, text, email, follow up, send them information that's actually valuable, right? So do things that other agents aren't doing. Every other agent's just going to put them on a drip and hope that they respond, a drip of email and houses out, right? Be more creative than that, right? Text them some options. Tell them what you like about different neighborhoods, things like that. And then I would also approach if I had to start over again, because I like the investor side of real estate so much, I would start with more like deal analysis and putting video content out there, right? I mean, if you can log into the MLS and you can find a deal, break that deal down on a whiteboard in the background or on a PDF that you can screen share and put that out on Instagram, Facebook, all the social media platforms, people are going to naturally start paying. They're going to be attracted to that, right? Because everyone seems to be interested in real estate. Pretty much everybody I know is interested in making more money or increasing their wealth. So that's just a natural attraction, I think, when you start putting out content like that.
Yeah. His is very different. And I think that your mind just works very different with that. Like, for me, that wouldn't be a natural path to go. And it still isn't. Like, if anybody calls me on investment properties, I'm like, talk to Jay. I really, it's just, I mean, it's just, that's how his brain works. And I love the warm and fuzzy. Like, my clients become like family to me, and I'm the one that likes to get to know their kids, and I know their kids' birthdays, and like, that's just how I operate. But I do think that the most important thing is that you just have to be relentless when you start. You just have to. It doesn't matter what avenue you're going down. I had success because, first of all, I wasn't afraid of the phones. I didn't care if somebody hung up on me. I actually thought it was really funny. I actually had a guy.
You sound like Jen.
He left me like he got mad that I called him, and I didn't realize that. And he called back, and I thought, oh, okay, he called, and I didn't listen to the voicemail, and I guess he like totally cussed me out on the voicemail, and I didn't know that, and so I called him back. And when he answered the phone, he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm like, for what? And he's like, I totally cussed you out on your voicemail. So, and so I just don't let it bother me. I just call people back and I'm like, whatever. So I think that that's really, really important is you just can't be afraid of, there's a lot of rejection in this business. Mm-hmm. It's nothing personal. And like to Jason's point, I wish I would have learned this earlier on. It's such a human connection. I shouldn't say I didn't learn that. This business is such a human connection. And I was very fortunate to be able to make connections with my clients and have that. I think we get way too caught up on, especially new agents, feeling like they have to know everything. They want to research everything up front. Just get to know people. Just have conversations like you were having conversations with your friends and build that. I think that getting started, I was so focused on like any content, email drips, anything I put out there. I spent so much time on what's an escrow deposit or this or that. They don't care. They want to get to know you. Like that's what you're there for, right? You're going to go through that process with them at that time. So don't focus so much on all the, I think, unnecessary. Let people know who you are. Let people know what you do and just get out there and make connections.
When you were telling your story, so like your story is incredible. Do 65 your first year. And like in the background in my head, I knew this was going to have to come up because if you didn't have a CRM, the truth is that you had to make a really strong impact on so many of those because as you were jumbling, you're working with roughly 10 at any given time.
Right.
You were going to naturally just forget about 3 or 4 that had to reach to you because they cared about you and the impact that you made in order because you didn't have the reminder system in place. Like it showed that when you said that, I was like, that is spot on. Like you built relationships that made you the number one go-to for that person.
And the funny thing is, you know, I still feel like that's how it is, but because it's not, we have the CRM and stuff like that, but I'm not going to say that I'm like the best at like calling past clients and doing all the follow-up like I'm supposed to, especially once COVID hit, because our big thing is I love to have a party and I love to have people around. So I would always have like, we would do lots of client appreciation events where we had everybody together. We'd have their kids around. And when COVID hit and we couldn't do that, that was something that was really hard. That was a huge part of our business. And so I'm fortunate that that connection was still strong with our clients. Like if I'm driving through a neighborhood and I see like their house, I still have that urge to text them like, hey, I miss you. I hope you're doing well. And I think that that's what's so important. People just want to feel like human beings and that you have that.
Yeah, we've made a lot of great friends in real estate, right? We moved here
not knowing anybody.
Really not knowing anybody. Yeah. And a lot of our closest friends now we met through real estate transactions, and now it's so much more than just a real estate transaction.
Oh, sorry guys, I'm still dealing with I gotta clear my throat every once in a while.
No, you're good. That's why I keep drinking my coffee. But yeah, so I think, but I really do wish that right out the gate, I would have had a little bit more of a system in place, kind of taken that part of it. Nobody even told me about a CRM, so I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And that ties back to one of your points there, right? So like the problem with if you're a new agent, especially, or you don't understand systems, you need a mentor to help you to understand what the hell should I set reminders for? What should my structure be? And mentorship was a great point that you threw out there. You had a great mentor. It sounds like when you came into this business.
I did. She was incredible, and I would not have the success that I had without her. I mean, I didn't even know how to write a contract, so she was helping me with everything. And that's the thing. Like I kind of was going to her a lot for things, and she was more experienced. She was about 10 years in the business and was kind of looking to retire a little bit. Her husband was retiring, and so she wanted, so we formed a partnership. And so I was out really in the field. She was there as a mentor, helped me a lot with the, with all my contracts, writing up paperwork. So there's no way I could have done it without, there's absolutely no way I would have been able to handle all of it without her, or even had the opportunities that I had. She really, really, it was tremendous, a tremendous part of my success. And I can't ever thank her enough for all of that. So.
And now it's our turn, right? So now it's cool to see that 180 or that 360 cycle, right? We had help, and now we find ourselves helping others, new agents coming into the business. and things like that. And really, we never stop being mentored or coached or never stop learning, right? It's interesting to me, the more you're in this business and even other businesses as well, but super successful people, they don't have it all figured out. They're still figuring it out every day. A lot of those people are still getting coached. I mean, we're in coaching, right? Yes, we coach agents as well, but we also have somebody who's
coaching us how to be a coach.
Coaching us, right? Yeah, on how to be better. So in how to help agents get going and things like that. So.
And I think that one of the things that I quickly learned too, that was a mindset shift for me was, I originally got in thinking, okay, well, I don't know how much we're going to do business wise. So I just went to the little brokerage down the street because it was a $350 transaction fee. That's all I paid on a transaction, no monthly fees, no nothing. And first of all, I quickly learned that was going to get really expensive really quick because when you do that many deals, you spend a lot more than what you would with the cap. But then also, I also, when I had a mentor and, the agreement we had with our splits, obviously, we were splitting commissions at that point because I needed help. I think time became way more valuable than money very quickly. Like I had to realize that I had to give up somewhere. And so I think as a new agent, you get really caught up on what that looks like or having a mentor, and that mentor. And, it's opening a business, right? You're going to have expenses up front. And so being afraid to give up anything like that in the beginning, I think is a huge downfall of agents because, I needed that. I needed a lot of that. And it takes time, right? And you have to be compensated. Like we can't do everything. I didn't expect her to do it for me for free because it was her time. So,
yeah.
And guys, I see that there's a few jumping on. If you guys have any questions for Jen or Jason, please ask them there in the chat. We'll get to those here towards the end of this. And I just want to make sure you guys know you're here. I can't see who's here. Otherwise, I'd say hello. But if you guys drop something in the chat, that'll let me know that you're here.
But do you have any other thing that you think with that?
No, I think that's it. I mean, what other questions? What else you guys want to go over?
Yeah, I mean, so the whole purpose behind this, right, is I feel like, and we've talked about this, 87% fail, right? They fail in their first 2 years. And it's something where it's so sad to me because there's so many people around where even without any kind of financial incentive to help somebody, if you give that person a call, they're going to help you. And I do think mentorship is really missing, but I want these podcasts to give people some inspiration and ideas of like, what the hell can I do to get off of, they're basically on Jump Street and they're trying to figure out how to get consistent buyers in, consistent sellers in. And one thing that is just an unfortunate truth is starting with the buyers makes a whole lot more sense because they're easier to obtain.
Right.
And it's just a natural progression of things. And those buyers become sellers. But, if you had a new agent in front of you right now, what would be the action steps you'd be asking them to take over the next, 30 to 90 days in order to start getting some properties under contract?
So the one thing I'm going to just, to your point though, earlier, just real quick with getting just started is there's so many different ways to do this business and everybody has their opinion on like what's right. Like he's an investor. I love working with that client, that emotional. So find what you're good at and focus on that because I feel like so many agents feel like they have to try to be doing everything.
Right.
And that's the worst thing.
And there's so many ways to be successful in real estate, right? Like I think we've talked about this before. If you like door knocking and you're good at it, then do door knock, right? What I learned is that I went door knocking and people called the police because they were afraid. Like, why is this random guy knocking on our door, right? So for me, that didn't work. But we know a lot of agents, and it seems to be a theme of female agents have a higher success rate at door knocking than men do, right? And it is what it is. So
going back to that 30, 60, 90, the first thing that we do when we bring somebody on one of our team is that we sit down and we really look at like, what is it that you want your plan to look like? What is that, what is your ideal client? What are you hoping to see in this career? Because I think that you can go down different paths. Like I'm just not the investor person. Like that would not be a good career choice for me. I wouldn't be happy doing it. But that's just me, So I think that that's what's really important is we really try to hone in on that with our agents. And then, kind of point them in the right direction. I do think right now with the market conditions that we have, you have to be a hunter for listings. You have to. And it's something that we're coaching our team on, and it's a shift even for us. We got very comfortable with, we have such an abundance of buyers. That's awesome that we have all these clients and we have team members working with all these clients, but if I have nothing to sell them. So I think that that's something that I would really tell any newbie agent coming in, is that you have to be willing to hunt for listings right now.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, obviously you see the market conditions everywhere. Listings are definitely short, inventory short in every market, right? So if you can come out of the gate and you've got that eager and that willingness to get on the phones and start calling some of these off-market properties, because things are still going on in people's life, right? There's job promotions, there's job transfers. Unfortunately, there's divorce and death, but all of that creates opportunities for listings, right? And then it also creates opportunities for buying, because when you go through one stage in your life, you need another house to go to in that next stage of life, right? So what I've been noticing is it's a lot of fear right now. And what I mean by that, sellers are afraid to sell because they don't know where they're going to go. So they're super comfortable just sitting in their house, staying there, even though ultimately they want a bigger house, or they want a smaller house, or they want to move to a different school district, right? So what we found is how do you play that matchmaker game, right? How do you, find out what they need and then go find them that, because if it's not on the market, you're going to have to go find it. Mm-hmm. And then you can go back to that seller and say, hey, I found you an off-market property that meets the criteria in the area you want to go and the price point you want. Let's get a buyer now for your house so that we can just move, right? So it's a lot of puzzle pieces right now, but it also creates a lot of opportunities, right? Because you have so many opportunities when you're selling to buy and buying to sell, right? As far as from the agent perspective.
I love that. I think you're spot on. Is basically what that was go figure it out, right? You have an opportunity in front of you and you have to solve their problem.
Yep.
Figure out how to use things like prop stream, figure out how to go and door knock, like go that extra mile in a time like this, and you're going to create more opportunities, even if it's not the opportunity for this person. Identified somebody who would sell, you might be able to help them in the same way on that chain, finding that next property for them. That was brilliant.
And the other thing, like we did recently, I had a client, he had a client, a couple of our team members had clients, and there was just nothing on the market. So we put out a video and we all sat there together. And we're like, this is what we need. And we just started emailing that and blasting that to our database, because you don't know who was thinking, well, maybe I would be willing to, if, this is the right situation. And that started a lot of conversations, even with other agents. Other agents started reaching out and said, hey, well, I have this client that would sell this house, but I need to find them this. Do you have this? And then it started all these. It's a different market right now. So you're just having to be really creative.
And I want to touch on that, because I think that's super important, and it's not talked about nearly as much as it should be. And what I mean by that is the relationship with other agents in your market, especially other agents that produce, right? I can name you a ton of instances where the other agent chose our buyer's offer because they wanted to rather work with us than an agent they either A, didn't get along with, or B, maybe that other agent they knew was combative, right? So
the agent didn't choose it, the seller chose it, but they explained it.
But they explained that all to the seller, right? Of course, the money and the terms are always going to come into play when you're presenting offers to sellers, right? But when your agent presents you two offers that are basically the same, and they can go and say, hey, the agent on this one, we know, like, and trust. The agent on this one, maybe that's not the story, right? What offer do you think the seller is going to choose? So my point to that is be friends with all the other agents out there, right? Because there's going to be times where you can put more deals together by being friendly. And even the new builds, right? It's so odd to me when I take a client to a new builder and I find another agent in there with their clients and they're being super combative to the sales rep at the builder. And I'm like, you're going about this all wrong, right? Everybody wants the same thing at the end. We want to find a home that meets the customer's needs and get the transaction accomplished, right? And if you're if you're friendly with those new builders, you know it, James. There's VIP lists out there, guys, right? All right. So I've sold several new builds that never hit the market, right? Because an agent that builder rep that we're friends with called and said, hey guys, somebody's financing just fell through. This house is ready to be moved in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the case is. Those properties never hit the market. Those go to the agents in our market that do a good job, that the builders rep know will
I
get
just
the
think
job
it comes
done.
back to just treating everybody a certain way. Like even with like finding off market properties, like we don't look at other agents as competition. We look at them as, allies, I guess, really. Like I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to other agents and I'm like, hey, I know you do really well in this neighborhood. Do you have anything coming available? Just constantly keeping those relationships going and realizing that we're all in this together, and that the more you work together and have a nice collaborative family, it's gonna benefit you. I think it just comes down to having a good reputation for what you do in the market, and that you're honest. And it can get, I've seen agents get very cutthroat, and it never works out well for them.
I love it. I mean, you guys know, for our business, we've built relationships with all of the builders around here because it's been so difficult. And what you're saying, spot on. Like, you don't have to be bringing a client in there. Go in there. You're going to do a video, right? You're going to go into that model, do a video. And when you go, bring them a dozen donuts. It's going to cost you $5. That $5 might make you 15 grand. Like,
right. And I think that, that's it, they're working just as hard as we are right now. Like everybody thinks that they're just sitting there, collecting money and just taking everybody's deposits, but they're under a lot of stress as well. We're friends with several of the builder reps, so much so that we've helped them buy houses and sold their houses. And, so I think that that's the biggest thing. And one of their biggest complaints is that I think that when agents go into it, they think it makes them look good to their clients if they're being combative with the sales rep. And we always tell everybody, like, we have a great relationship with them. We partner with them. We're here to work together. They know what the builder can do, but we also know what's happening outside in the, open market. Mm-hmm. And so let's work together to get you the best.
I love that. And setting the expectations, like, that's all you're really talking about. A market like this, there's no negotiation. Like, there's on new builds, no. On resale, like, possibly, but the likelihood is that neighborhood's going to be 100
how much you're going over.
Right. The negotiation is how much higher are we going, right?
Yeah. Oh man, awesome, you guys. Well, is there what else can we add to that? I think you guys given a tremendous amount of value and a lot of like little nuggets inside of there on the ways that people can go. But is there anything else there that you can think of?
Go ahead.
No, I think the biggest thing is just, come up with your business plan right out the gate. Think you're opening a business, treat it like a business.
Yeah.
Get a couple systems. You don't over obsess the systems, but have a CRM right out the gate. Organize your database.
Yeah.
And just be relentless.
And partner with other agents in your market that are going to help you, right? I'm looking, I can't see everybody who's on here, right? But I can see the comments, and I can literally start at the top with Justine, right? Justine has a whole bunch of knowledge. She's kicked ass in this business. She's got a great story. We've had conversations. Heck, we've even spoke at conferences, at the same time, and she brings so much to the table. You've got Lori from Milestone Title that chimed in. How important is having a good title rep? It's super important, right? You've got to know that the title company that you're partnering with is going to get the job done. It's going to be there for your buyers and your sellers, and to make that transition as smooth as possible. And then even going further down the list, look at Joel, right? Joel's an awesome story where you brought him on the team. He was super hesitant to break up with his real job, as I call it, right? Because it was security, right? You get a paycheck, you go to work 40 hours a week, you get a steady paycheck, and there's just nothing more to it. Joel saw that opportunity in real estate, and it took a little bit of pushing and nudging, but you got him to walk away from that job, go into real estate full-time rather than part-time, and now he's making more money and more successful than he ever was working at that regular job. Bianca, I don't know Bianca. Nick Krem. Nick's another guy that we've partnered with, right? If you want to get your social media on point and you want to get connected to other industry leaders, Nick's the man, right? And there's just so many
It
so
just
many
comes down to
people. Yeah.
relationships. Like, I think it is. It's just, all the relationships, and the relationships are amazing. Like, we love getting to talk to you, and it's so nice to not be alone in a business, right? We all have struggles. We all have frustrations, and there's days that we call each other and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And that's huge. Like, having that, like, nobody wants to be in this alone. I think that's really what it comes down to. So have a plan. You're opening your business, partner up with people. Don't be afraid to reach out to agents. Most people want to help. And if you're brand new and you need help, I wouldn't be hesitant to get a mentor. That's it.
And that's honestly one of the biggest things we noticed when we shifted from previous brokerages to where we are at EXP, right? I mean, the beautiful thing with that is it's agent owned. So we're also invested in each other, right? Because we all own a piece of the company, right? So I want Joel to be more successful. So I'm going to do whatever I can do to help Joel. Amen. I want you to be more successful, and vice versa, right? Like, this is the big fire that was started, right? And it just keeps growing. I think
even going back to because he brought up being agent owned. To be honest, when we came over, I didn't give two craps about that. To be honest, I really didn't even want to hear about it, because I had so many false promises on different, I shouldn't say false promises. I never looked at going into this business as the brokerage was going to contribute to my success. I was opening my own business. That's how I saw it. I would say I was like the lone wolf, right? Like, I was like, I'm doing it my way, and it's always going to be my way. And that's all.
I have so many comments right now on that.
So sorry, but that's just how I am. So I see, I still don't care.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I didn't really, but then you do get to a point, and we just hit this wall every single year, and I did not know where to go. And what I saw was a lot of people that I looked up to, a lot of our mentors, or people that we really wanted to have as mentors.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to get in the room with them. And I was like, this makes sense. I didn't care if they wanted to talk to me about anything. I didn't care what splits were. I didn't care about stocks. I didn't care about revenue share. I didn't care about any of it. I was like, I want to be in the room with these people. So I think that's all it was for me. And it's changed our lives. It's changed our business. We have incredible friends now that we just really wanted to have in this world. So I think that was everything for us. At least it was for me.
We've had this talk, right, James? Like, it's like sports. If you want to get better at anything, go play with, hang around the people that are already better than you. You're naturally going to level up, right? And you're going to learn things because you're in that room with people that are already doing more. And that's one of the biggest advantages, and the best things that I love is, not being the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And I want to give Bianca a quick plug, because, and this ties into a lot about what we were talking about on this show, is that, like, this isn't like the principles that we talk about on this show really do apply anywhere. And Bianca and Paul, incredible family, and they're actually scaling a locksmith company right now called Amerikey.
Nice.
She's
cool.
on
Awesome.
here just saying, yeah. So I just wanted to give her a quick plug and say hi to Melissa too. Melissa's good morning to you as well.
Awesome. Well, I don't know. I think that's awesome. It's always fun. I love meeting everybody. That's why I think I love this business so much. Is all the people I meet are constantly different businesses, and it's exciting to mastermind.
Yeah. And then even to put those connections together, right? Like, how many times do we have clients, right? I'm going to call them clients at first, that somebody we didn't know that we ended up doing business with, and maybe they own a business or they've got a skill set that you can plug and play either into your own life or into somebody else's life that right? And then that's part of the progression of client to friend.
Yeah.
Yep. I love it. And anybody who's on here, if you have any specific questions you want to ask Jim and Jason, please, I'd love to turn this into a little mastermind right here live.
Yeah, we do it, right? We do it all the time.
I'm on the phone with you probably more than you're on the phone with your wife. I mean, I'm
yeah,
I know. It's okay. I don't mind sharing.
It's all business, right? I'm on a work call, babe.
Yeah. But I want to ask you guys. So, while we have some more to come in and hopefully some questions, Before you came over here to EXP, what do you feel like was your biggest problem, and what did EXP do to solve it?
Go ahead.
I'd say I think our biggest problem is that we just got to a point where we didn't know where to go or how to grow. We just really hit a window or a wall, and that's why we came over, because I just saw we were in Tom Ferry coaching, which was awesome, and we saw all these people that we'd go to conferences and to listen to them speak, and we were traveling all the time, and we were watching them one at a time go over to EXP, and I'm like, and so finally we're like, what is going on? Like, there's something. We want to be around these people. And then he actually reached out to Veronica, and we had a couple conversations with Veronica. And when we saw what was happening in the collaboration, we're like, this is where we need to be, because like he said, if you want to get better, you got to put yourself in a room with people who are killing it and doing much better than you. And the inspiration, the support, and just not feeling like we are alone. It's funny. Like, I think we start getting really hard on ourselves. When you start having success, it can get really lonely, because everybody thinks that you have it together even when you don't, and it gets really frustrating, and you start getting at least I get really hard on myself when I'm not hitting those milestones. And so to be able to have those conversations with people who said that they had the same struggles and could help guide us was a very freeing feeling.
Yeah, I would say that was very similar for me as well. I felt that we were hitting a ceiling over and over at the previous brokerage, trying to reach out, trying to get that support from other agents or teams that were already doing more, in not really getting it, right? Getting a little bit of fluff here and there, but not really breaking out. Like, how do you go from 35 million a year to 50 million or 100 million, right? So now we're in that circle. We're at that table where a lot of our friends have blown past 100 million now, right? So we're trying to get from that 35 million-ish range over to 50 to 75 to 100. Why not talk to and mastermind with the people that already did it, right? They've already paved the way. They've already experienced what worked and what didn't work, right? So take that knowledge, implement it in your business now so that you can get there quicker.
I think it just kind of goes back to even the premise of the show. Like, how do you get from 0 to 100,000? We got there, and then we're like, okay, well, where do we go? And I will tell you where we screwed up the biggest ever. The going from 0 to 100 wasn't a problem. Then we got to that, and we're like, where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And we started building a team, not knowing anything about having a team. And that's where we really didn't have a plan, and I think a lot of agents step into that, or they become partners with a friend, and they don't think about it, and they don't realize that it's creating a big organization when you start building a team.
Yeah.
And that's where we really screwed up. And to be honest, I was so frustrated because we kept having issues with the team. We didn't know what we were doing wrong. And if I was told to read a book one more time, I was going to tell them to shut it. Yeah. I was so annoyed. Like, I need to know what to do. And they're like, read this book. And I'm like, how about you tell me? Like, who's done this? So I like that it's not theory. It's people who've actually practiced and fallen. Correct. And
that's the biggest difference. At another brokerage, we were being taught by theorists or people that maybe did it 10 or 20 years ago, right? Now we're masterminding with actual practitioners that are doing it every day, in and out, in today's market, and that's how we're going to grow, right? I mean, look at even the things that you and I have implemented together, because you found out that this works, and then you shared that with us, and vice versa. We found out, hey, we're having success with this, so you implement it on your side, right? That's really what it's all about, because I don't want to get to the top by myself. I want to bring everybody with me.
Right.
Let's have a party at the top of the mountain with a whole bunch of people rather than with one or two.
Let's do it. Yeah.
One of the things that going back, and I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, like, but I do feel this way about EXP, is I really do think it's incredible. So I don't want to, but a lot of brokerages have a lot of support for a brand new agent, right? They put you through all the contract classes. They teach you the nitty gritty that you need to know, which is super important, but then there isn't anything there. And one of the things when we were at our previous brokerage, we felt that there was a huge, there was a huge gap. Like, you get these agents that would start getting to that couple of million in sales a year, and there was support for teams because you're at the top and everybody wants to, treat
retain you.
Yeah, and continue. But I feel like there was like little privileges for those that were at the top. And then you'd have this group in the middle that was just left and they were just floating. And I was like, that was the biggest gap I saw in most brokerages, is that how do you get that agent from 3 million to 10 million and there's no training and no support? And that is the biggest thing I see at EXP, is that that's where they plugged that gap in, because you can plug in with people who were there. We have all the training that you need for the brand new agents. We can teach you the contracts, but you start having success and then you just, it becomes very overwhelming really quick on where to go. And that's where I struggled the most. My first year was, I started having that and I'm like, crap, what do I do now?
Yeah, I'm with y'all right there. I mean, we're so blessed to like, when it comes to scale, we're partnered with some agents that have scaled to the highest levels. Like, you know, and they're all for, if we could figure out how to do 5,000 transactions a year, they're all for helping us do it. Right. But like, we know how to get to that, to the benchmark that's currently set just by following what's been laid out in front of us. And nowhere else, like, especially in our area, like I've got some really great people that have helped me along the way and always answered my call, but they're at that 30, $40 million mark. And we know, I mean, in the last 6 months, I've personally spoken with at least 10 people that are over 100 million.
Because those are partners, right? I mean, and that's the beauty of it, right? Now we're in these rooms and at these tables that I spent years trying to get to at other brokerages, and now it's just walk right in the door. Open up our, one of the biggest things when we first came over was Gil, right? Gil literally invited me to his Google Drive for the entire organization of how he runs his team. I'm like, this is incredible. Within like a half an hour of meeting this guy and partnering up with him, he's literally shared everything that I spent years trying to obtain at KW or Remax from other high-level agents that didn't really want you to have it because they didn't want you to compete.
But I want to chime in on this too, with the aspect of like how open they are with even sharing their teams, because now going back to, okay, not everybody's trying to hit that 100 million. Like you take that agent who's at that 3 million and doesn't know where to go. One of the agents that I felt was awesome to have talked to was, she's on Veronica's team, Livia.
Yeah.
She was an agent who went from nothing, doing nothing on her own, came onto her team and had tremendous success. And at being a team leader, I would love talking to her and kind of picking her brain, like what helped you, what took you from doing nothing to being on this team and having all of the success, and being able to share her with other team members that are in the same position that she's in. So we have people for every single stage that love to collaborate, and I think that that's the biggest thing. We're all at different stages in our business. So we all need that. How do we go from here to here? How do I go from 2 to 10? How do I go from 10 to 30? Like,
and constantly focused on that, right? Like constantly focused on how do we grow? How do we help each other? Like it's, that is, you can't see it until you see it. But when you're involved in it and literally everybody you talk to is, hey, what's the vision? Hey, what are we going to achieve? Like every single time over and over and over. That's why we grow so fast.
Right.
And the support. I mean, Patty was somebody I never knew before, Patty Herrera, and now she's amazing. Like I love to pick her brain. Like she's always helpful. There's lots of things that we've shared and collaborated on. And so I just think that it's just, I think everybody sees kind of the big, top dog names, but there's so much more in this organization too. I think that's something that I've just grown to be so thankful for. I mean,
heck yeah. Well, hey, you guys, I appreciate you guys taking the time to contribute towards us and our community. And what do you think we can leave them off on? I want to leave them with something where they can go ahead and take some action and feel inspired. What do you want to leave them with?
God.
No, you go. We're always talking
about
each other.
Put in the work, right? Like put in the work. This is the unsexy part about it, right? That, to your point earlier, it's an 88% failure rate. You got to make that decision out of the gate. Are you going to be the 12% or are you going to be the 88%? And what that difference is that separates the 88 and the 12 is honestly, it's hard work and follow up, right? Don't be afraid of the phones. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Our coach, John Cheplak, says it all the time. If you're a secret agent, you're a broke agent. And unfortunately, that's true in today's world, right? You've got access. Think about the access we have to get in front of people publicly. That access wasn't granted to our parents, to our grandparents, right? If you didn't own a newspaper or a television station 20 years ago, you weren't able to put yourself out there, right? I mean, you could do your small circle of friends, but dude, you can get on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, all this other stuff now, and start putting yourself out there and marketing yourself, right? Twitter, whatever. So put in the work. That's it. That's my tip, right? Put in the work.
Yes, that's it. We have our kids here, and he said that, and our daughter is standing over here twitching. But no, I absolutely think that that's the key, and I just think don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out. We're always here to answer any questions. I know you are. And I don't ever want you to think it's a recruiting thing. We love helping. Just, give us a call. If there's something, obviously we all love EXP, but that's not always what we're here to talk about. We have lots of friends at other brokerages that own their own brokerages. We're all here just to talk and collaborate. So don't ever hesitate to give us a call.
I love that, you guys. I love it. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here today. And thank you also for being partners of mine and helping me to grow my business.
Awesome.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it. We look forward to continued growth with you.
Hell yeah, brother. All right, man. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
See ya.